guys. Thank you for joining me today. So, on Mondays, I like to give you your real estate market update and along with a few other topics and tips as it relates to real estate. So today I'm going to be talking about a recent post that Garyvee made and his prediction for the real estate market. I'm also going to be giving you an update on the October market. The final numbers aren't in, but I'll let you know where we're at as of now. And then I'm going to be also talking to you about credit. All right, so stay tuned, stick with me. Thank you for joining me today. All right. So let's get to it. I want to talk to you about the prediction that Garyvee has made. As part of that prediction, he is saying that working from home is going to reshape the real estate market. So I want to hear from you guys if you think that this is going to be the case. Do you agree with it? And basically what he is saying is, especially in our major markets, when you're thinking about like California and New York and Chicago, even where it's so hard to commute and people are spending hours in their car to get into the city for their job. And so now working from home has, number one, allow employers to realize that, okay, we can make this happen remotely because they were forced to do this. So a lot of the positions where they thought all the employees had to come into work, they now have realized that they can do these jobs from home. So as we move forward through this, we're thinking that we're going to see a lot of changes start to happen where it'll become the new norm, right? So instead of going into work 5 days a week, maybe you only have to go into the office 2 days a week. And so because of that, potential buyers may start. So right now where they're looking that they have to be so close because of the commute. Maybe you have to, if you are working in LA, maybe you feel like you need to live in LA or very close to LA. So maybe now you will realize or have the notion that now maybe I can move out a little further and I'll deal with the longer drive, maybe on those 2 days a week. So because of this is why Garyvee is making the prediction that the real estate market is going to change because of this, because those suburbs that are on the outskirts will start to see more activity. So people will begin to change, when you get closer to the city, smaller homes, not as much yard space versus moving out to the suburbs or further out and where you can have that larger space, larger home for less amount of money. So because of that, we're predicting that, or he's predicting that an increase is going to start happening in these suburb areas. And that it's just not in these major markets. Even here in Cleveland market, when you think about it, some of, employees may be used to driving into downtown every day, but now that they don't have a need, maybe they're going to go full-time working from home, even after pandemic, or just a couple days a week, they will consider looking in these outskirts of the areas. So the other thing that he is predicting that more companies are going to look for more mixed-use properties. So those mixed-use properties are going to be where you have your shopping, right there in the area. Maybe it could be all in one building. We see a few of those happening here in the Cleveland market, where the lower level is where your shopping is, restaurants, grocery shopping, and then maybe some office space, some smaller cubes and everything where you can kind of like drop into that space. And then on that upper level is where you're starting to see those apartment buildings. So they're saying to kind of entice those employers, to entice people to move back into the city, looking at some of those mixed use spaces where it makes more sense. So because these employees are going to feel like, well, why would I want to move in? I'd rather just work from home. Whereas some of these employers may want to see their staff back in the building, and the way to do that would be for this mixed use space. So If you are joining me, please type in the comments section. I would love to hear your thoughts on this and how you think that, or do you think that Gary Vee's prediction is going to play out? I do have a slide that I am going to share with you guys here. And so okay, so I want to take a look here at the October numbers with you guys. As I mentioned at the beginning of this, the October numbers have not finalized. We're still waiting for a lot of closings to happen in our MLS system. And if you don't know, the multiple listing service, also known as MLS, is what us realtors use and appraisers actually use to gather our information, to collect data about what's going on in the housing market. So as we're just wrapping up for the month of October, it happened on Saturday. We may be waiting for some agents to go ahead and close out those deals to finalize the month of October. So here we are so far for the month of October. We have a total number of home sales at 1,902. We have an average sale price of just over 200,000. So 200,692. We have the number of new listings was 2,320, and the average days on market is 40. So I like to talk about that average days on market so you can kind of understand. If you're a buyer in this market, you're like, well, that's not true. So the average days on market is taking the full amount of homes that are on the market, some good, some bad listings, but the average days on market is about 40 days, even though it may not quite feel like that if you've been in this market. So those houses that have been recently renovated or are in very good condition or in a very desirable neighborhood or block of homes, we're seeing those houses going within a matter of hours and definitely within days. So if you are out in the market and you go into that property and you know that like that is the one, we're not going to find anything better. Even if it's the first house. Some people get a little afraid when they find the one as the first house. So they're afraid to pull the trigger and then actually regret that afterwards. Do your due diligence. Have your real estate agent run the numbers on the comps to make you feel a little more comfortable, to make sure that the price is right in comparison to the rest of the market. But you have to move quickly. So moving quickly means that you have already, even before looking, got your pre-approval from your lender, not a pre-qualification, a pre-approval from your lender. You know how much of a home that you can afford. And so you know that you can move within a certain or shorter time frame. You know, if you're saying, well, my lease doesn't end until January, so we're looking to buy in January, it's probably a little too early to start. So start shopping around, paying attention to the other homes, what you can get in terms of value, make a plan, and then go after that. So once we have the final numbers for October, I will share those with you as I start to report the new November numbers. I can't even believe that it's November already as I'm sitting here doing this. Okay, so I also want to share with you guys some first of the month tips. These are a couple tips that you can start to focus on at the beginning of every month. So right now you may be working on your goals and plans for 2021, and these are a few things that you can start to implement in your monthly, daily life that will help you get on the road to ownership. So number one is write down all your goals. What are your financial goals? What are those long-term goals? What are those short-term goals? Are they attainable? Do you want to own a home, for example? So if that's your goal of wanting to own a home, realistically, when can you do this? You may be in a lease right now. So when is that lease up? Is it up in 6 months? So your goal would probably be in roughly, 4 to 6 months, you're going to be looking to buy a home. You might even want to have the conversation with your current landlord to ask if you go over or need additional time, can you become a month-to-month tenant versus having to sign a lease for it and extend it into the next year. Usually, if you are ending your lease in the winter months, your landlord is not going to want, if you're, or right before the winter months, your landlord is not going to want to just do a month to month, potentially leave having you move out in like November or December. But they may be flexible if it's more like the springtime or so when you're thinking about moving out. So you want to take some time, write down those goals of what you have so that you know where you're trying to go. So once you identify where you're trying to go, then we can backtrack and talk about how we can get you there. And then number two is prepare a monthly budget. Okay, so maybe your number one of your goals on that list was to buy a home. Well, when you buy a home, you're going to have down payment and you're going to have closing costs that are required. So you have to bring some money to the table. So you want to prepare yourself for that. So looking at a monthly budget, even though no one likes to look at their monthly budget, but it could be a reality check. There might be some areas that you're overspending, and by doing this monthly budget, it might help identify those areas so you know where you can cut back. If you eat out a lot, that might be, and you eat out on a daily basis, you don't pack your lunch, changing that budget to include maybe only eating out one time a week could be an area where you can pull some money that can create a savings for yourself. Oftentimes, people have a hard time saving money because you're renting. Your rent is so high. There's just no room in the budget to put any money away from savings. But you want to take the time and review that budget so you know where things are at and where you need to go. A good way to do that would be to run your bank statement. So we all probably just received a notification. If you bank where I bank, they send me a notification every month when my monthly bank statements are available. I definitely suggest that you look at the last 2 to 3 months to kind of compare, because some things we don't pay on a monthly basis, but we don't want to forget about that as we are planning, for this monthly budget. So take some time, sit down, write out your bills, start forming those habits now. Don't wait or tell yourself, oh, at the beginning of the year, I'm going to start this new process. We don't need the new year to start a new process to get on track. You just need to start right now. Start forming those habits and start creating that monthly budget for yourself. And then number three is to pay your bills. This I know should be a no-brainer, but I do want to share a tip with you. If you are paying your bills monthly and you are noticing that there's a shortfall that you're having, like you quite never have enough to pay all of your bills. So first you want to try to eliminate the bills that you can eliminate. Like if you don't have a contract, you're not obligated to start cutting those out. You can always add those things back on, but we want to get this under control. But if you find yourself still paying or short on money when it's time to pay your bills, I want you to focus on the items that report to your credit bureau first. So I know we want to keep our lights on, but they don't report to the credit bureaus on a daily basis. And maybe you know that, you get some more money. It's just a little bit later than when this bill is due. So you want to pay the things that hit and impacts your credit score, because we want to protect that credit score as much as possible. Understand when your cycle dates, when your bills are due every month. If you're paying credit cards, find out when those bills recycle and update every month. And we want to make sure that we pay those bills that report to your credit bureaus on time every month so we can protect our credit score. And then number 4 is check your credit report and scores. So right now, through annualcreditreport.com, you can actually get your credit report for free and keep up with it on a monthly basis. Now, we only, so far that we know of, only have this capability until the end of the month. So you have November and December. Hopefully, they will renew this come 2021. But right now, we will take what we can get. And so review that credit, take advantage of that. Review your credit report and or your credit scores if you have the option to look at the credit score, if you pay to choose that, or using things, even though Credit Karma has its downfalls, but I definitely think that it's a helpful tool to help gauge a little bit, to give you some notifications. But using the free credit report, reviewing the credit report and the scores, making sure things have not changed, and Looking for improvements in your score. If you know you've been paying your bills on time every month and you should see a increase in your score, making sure that you see what's going on. Maybe you need to switch up some things, how you're paying your credit cards. Maybe you're carrying too high of balances on your credit cards. Maybe it is you're just paying those credit cards late and it's causing those problems. So those are your tips for the first of the month. It's the beginning of the month. It's a great time to get started. Don't give yourself a New Year's resolutions. In fact, I don't want New Year's resolutions. Anyone that I talk to, no resolutions this month. That just is a way for you to prolong something or put it off before you get started on something. The best time to get started is right now. We know what we need to do, so we got to get motivated. Dealing with your credit and finances and everything, it can be a mental drain, and we do need to prepare ourselves mentally to be prepared to go through the processes and get on track. So you can do this. You just have to talk to yourself and get you through it. And then, of course, if you guys have any questions, I am here to help you with those questions. I love to hear from you guys. People ask me all the time questions about real estate and how they can get started in real estate. And so I definitely want to answer your questions as well. So that is your real estate tip. I don't see any questions right now, but as always, Mondays is when you could catch me here for your market update. During the entire month of November, I'm going to be talking about getting on track and on the road to home ownership. And we're going to start at that foundation level, and that's going to be with credit and creating a budget for yourself. I talk to a lot of people all the time, and they're always asking, or the challenges that I always see is either their credit score is too low, or they don't have enough money saved. So we need to focus in on that budget to see, is there some wiggle room? Is some things that we can do? A lot of this is just temporary, right? It's just temporarily getting you, all set to be able to move forward. So Mark is doing well, Joe. Thank you for asking. He may even be joining in on this live stream. So as always, please like or share my page if you're not already doing so. You can call the number that is scrolling by here if you have any questions. But other than that, I look forward to hearing from you guys. And until next time.